Or, well, the day Bibi got frosty, the president got testy, and a former president's press secretary got thinking, this is bad, and depending on how the White House reacts now, this could get worse, a lot worse. Dana Perino, leaving how crazy weird this was, and historically unprecedented, seeing a foreign leader essentially lecture a U.S. president in the Oval Office. What's the long-term fallout?
Well, it did seem a little bit like that scene from Love Actually, where the Prime Minister of the UK, a character played by Hugh Grant, dresses down the American president and everybody cheers. And I would imagine
I hated that movie.
Israel,
it was such a chick flick, but I digress. Go ahead.
But in Israel, I would imagine that they felt that way, and many Jewish Americans and those of us who support Israel probably felt that way. I would say it was so awkward. But I thought President Obama was pretty respectful, listening and letting Prime Minister Netanyahu have his say, which was a very interesting dialogue. One thing on communications, Neil, I think people are kind of looking at this saying, why did the president give this speech now? The Israel part of the speech looks like it was tacked on at the bottom. It was clearly not well thought out, and it was not well laid out. Now, that might be their position.
We can argue over that forever. But I'm wondering, why would he even consider this joint thing in the Oval Office today, assuming, as we are hearing, that Netanyahu was livid over it and expressed that in person? Because it was scheduled, Neil. Fine.
Because it was already scheduled, and it was.
But these things, there's a certain protocol to them, right? I'm
no,
going to say this.
Actually,
you're
I would
going to say this.
disagree. I think there's a different protocol, which I was surprised at. Almost always, and when I was White House press secretary and the deputy White House press secretary, whenever a foreign leader came and we had a meeting like that, both leaders, almost always, I would say 99% of the time, and certainly under my tenure, would answer 2 questions each from the press. It was very unusual not to do that. This White House has not done that for quite a while. On certain things, they take questions. On certain they don't. The White House press corps seems to just roll over and say, "Okay, no problem." I think it would have been much more interesting after those 2 speeches to get some probing questions and to get some more thinking. I think it was absolutely right for them to keep the meeting. I think the White House would have been under terrible pressure had they really not laid a good groundwork for Netanyahu. Basically,
no, there were
regardless of what they think,
there were no questions.
There were no questions.
No. Dana, thank you very much.
And now
states very clearly that Israel has to go back to the borders of the pre-war of 1967.
All right, but you can understand where they're coming from, right, Your Highness? They're saying, look, we didn't start that war. We responded, ended it in 1 and 6 days, and now we're told something that we did not instigate, we have to give up.
If Israel wants to be incorporated